Francesca Casnati, a PhD student, and today I have the honor to introduce Marta Reina, who actually, even though we had a few moments, a few opportunities in the past of exchange, I consider a bit like a sort of big sister, as we actually shared similar paths. Marta studied at Politecnico, where she took her PhD in the area of communication design and gender cultures. And she actually collaborated with the Communication Design for Gender Culture Group, research group, of which I am now part, so we have a lot in common. And Marta, hi, ciao.
Hi, ciao.
After your PhD, you moved to the UK, where you took a different path, and let's say not a canonical path, but I'll let you go on by yourself, telling us a bit about your experience in the UK before going deeper on the topic.
Yes, thank you very much, Francesca. It's a pleasure to be here and to see you again. Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet Francesca years ago, and she was amazing, really brilliant student, and I'm so happy that she's continuing the work that I started, but I did with our research group, communication, GPRCG, or better, communication design for gender cultures, if we want to translate it. Yes, when I finished my PhD, there weren't at the time, unfortunately, some good opportunities to me in Italy. I'm not sure, can you hear me? You still hear me? Okay, yes, I know. There was something was going on in the anyway, there weren't something for me apart from looking for funding, but it's a very process, and once you got it, you are not sure that you can be employed. So I had also an urgency, that was the urgency of moving, because I was nearly in my 30s, and we usually think that it's time to settle at that age, but it wasn't my case. I wanted to go and explore the world, a little dream. And for some personal reason mainly, but also because of the situation, I moved to England, which was approachable to me. And for the first year, I had a beautiful experience at Greenwich University at the School of Design. I have been a dissertation supervisor and an associate lecturer in a course about design thinking and editorial design, with a little bit a mix of the two. What was interesting from that experience was the international context, because I was working with an international team and international students, and that had some positives, and the positives were that I was very challenged, but also stimulated to know more, because I realized I was really ignorant about, typography in India or graphic design in North Africa, and was a really good experience. But then the contract ended and there wasn't a continuity. So what I decided to do, I worked for a little bit in the education in England, in schools, and I'm still doing a little bit of that. But I decided to move my career in another area. My background was in graphic design mainly, but I had a dream to do illustration, and so I'm now going to register a trademark, and I would like to. So I'm a sort of entrepreneur, and yes, I'm going to do a little distribution to start of printed products. So this is what I'm doing now mainly. I'm also doing research, but in another area, and I don't think this is the context to talk about it. Maybe maybe later I would like more to talk about the topic of this amazing
Yes,
conversation.
of course, thank you. So as you know, the 24 hours conversations are centered on the issue of uncertainty and how design can face this era of uncertainty that we are going through. And your specific topic, well, you've chosen to speak about new designers' conditions, but actually in your statement, you wrote that it is not correct to talk about designers' condition or new designers' condition. And I would like you to start from this point, if you.
It's totally fine, Francesca. Yes, yes, it can sound like a sort of provocation, but I don't mean to. I think that I don't disagree about the era of uncertainty or uncertainty in our world, but yeah, I think it's not correct to say that we are in an era of uncertainty, because I think that uncertainty is basically the human condition. We are this we deal with uncertainty constantly, and I think last year I covered it a lot, but it's not just what happened over the last year. I often think about a person, a special person for me, which is Galileo. I hope I pronounce it right in English, Galileo Galilei, which was an astronomer, mathematician, and more other. I don't think I need to introduce it, but I think about him because he has been refused from universities. He struggled a lot to find a position in university at that time, and even when he found a position that wasn't fairly paid, and he struggled a lot. Apart from that, which is something that in a way is not so far from some condition of work in the academia, I mean, mostly I think I can just speak about Italy, but it's not just there. And maybe I will explain better what I'm saying. Yeah, he was living in an era in which he was in a severe danger of being murdered, tortured, and killed, or ended up in prison. And that the last one was what happened to him. Just for his ideas. I don't think that we are now facing the same, because that gore is back in the days. At the same time, I think that our society is trying to repress and how can I say, ideas under some concept. We believe that we are free, but I'm not sure we are much far from that. And I had the opportunity to think about how do the media the last year talk about complotism, and there is over abuse of the use of this word, like if complotism is something bad, is something wrong, but complotism is something that is useful for the society, sometimes to reverse the power. And so I think that probably we as designer, we need to be aware that there is this sort of uncertainty is around us, and censorship in some way. So yes, I don't know if I explained myself enough.
So I found your point of view very interesting and stimulating. also your reflections about this sort of fil rouge of the uncertainty through the centuries, actually.
Yes, and yeah, Galileo wasn't a designer, and here maybe I would like to to go back to the new designers' conditions. As I think the design, there are some designers' conditions, but I can see there is another fil rouge, that is the fact that the profession of design, of the designer, and even of the researcher in design, which is another part. I often see them very connected because they are connected. It's a profession that needs constantly as the society change or the technology change, etc. The designer always has to adapt to the changes, and so the conditions are absolutely not stable. But this is what I find also stimulating and exciting of designing, because it's something that can't be the same forever. And also what I think is also that let's say designers who wants to be a designer, so a researcher in design, needs to be aware of this and be ready to deal with this. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think another issue concerning the uncertainty and the instability of the designer concerns also the actual big issue of the recognition of our profession and our discipline. Because my impression, but I think is a shared thought, is that outside the university world, there is still a tendency to in some way reduce design to a kit of technical tools. So I was wondering if you have some reflections to share with us about this issue, starting of course from your experience as well.
Oh yes, of course. I'm thinking, but I must say, yeah, mainly two reflections about that. One is about come from my experience, because I did a PhD, and when I share this with people in England, people always are very, they admire me for that. They say, "You're great! Wow! Oh, you did a PhD, so you're a doctor. You are whoa!" But when I share the same with other people, I don't have a lot of way to make comparison, but I can make a comparison between Italy and England and the United Kingdom. Is what happens is that Italy sometimes I got this impression that I had from friends, from people I used to know, that you are just someone that wanted to stay a lot in the education, or someone, as a friend of mine told me, someone that is not ready for the market. Oh my goodness, that's so wrong, because that's not wrong. You basically is the contrary. You are when you finish, you got more, not less. But then what happened? There is another thing. I think is the discrimination about aging in a certain sense, because one of the problems I had finishing my PhD was to find a job in the creative industry. Why? Because they want you to have an experience, 5 years of experience in an advertising studio or in a creative studio, and you don't have that experience, but still you got skills that you can use it. And so there are some cultural differences. This is what I want to say in the way we perceive a person that is graduated or had a PhD or whatever. Also, there is another problem, I think, that design, and I'm thinking about graphic design mainly because it's our specialist, me and Francesca. Sorry, I changed your name in something that is not Italian and not English, but Francesca. Oh, sorry. Sorry, and then I forgot what I wanted to say. Yes. Yes, the problem is also that graphic design has become to be very approachable for people with different other backgrounds, but even without an education in that field, because you can learn from easily the use of the software, and you can try to do that job even good. I don't want to say that you need to have a degree. The only way to get the kind of job or to start to be a graphic designer, but at the same time there is a sort of imbalance between all the people that go through that profession and this affects the perception that people have about the profession as well, because and it's very hard, and I got always this kind of problem, even when, because apart from illustration, I'm still working as a graphic designer as well, and sometimes it's very hard because you need to educate the client about something, and he's not aware of what you are doing and doesn't understand it. And you spend most of the job by educating the client to understand why the way you do graphic and the design is valid or not. So,
yes, and I think actually it is in some way connected also to the concept of productivity in our society, maybe. So I don't know what do you think, but it's not a problem concerning just design. We are in a society where the professional career represents in some way a dimension in which people feel fulfilled or should feel fulfilled, and our job title represents a sort of ID card for the society. And I was wondering, maybe I'm shifting a bit the conversation, but in this framework, the time in which we achieve something sometimes seems to be more worthy than the quality of the knowledge itself. So I was wondering, as we both had some experiences in the educational field, and we both are well aware of the role of social responsibility of the educational system and of the design itself. How do you think future designers could be prepared to work in this framework, connecting what you were saying and this concept of productivity and
yeah, I was remembering this morning, thinking about the conversation about what I already told you about a friend, wasn't just one, but that told me that PhD students are just people that are not ready for the market. Okay. Obviously, that opinion doesn't make too much sense, but anyways, we need to listen to everything, even to opinions like that one. What I think is that there is not better than me, or we both know that our society is socially constructed, and so we use. There are a lot of stereotypes, and one of the stereotypes is the stereotype that is related to productivity, in a way that you need to do the university to get a good job and start a good career, and that's the the big motivation. And if you do it quickly, you are better than other people. I think that this is a big stereotype, a big issue, because everyone, maybe because I work at the on the whole line of education, and I did some teaching jobs with children, with people with different abilities. I understood more than before that everyone needs his or her time to learn, to do. So we can't have people like little soldiers that do all the things in the right timing just to get a job, career. Very, yeah, obviously it is important, but it can't be the only objective, the only goal in life to do the things just for that. What about university? University can have a sort of pastoral, I hope it works, role, not just pastoral, but also, it's not just pastoral, to help in two ways, I can say. One is to strengthen the link with market, understanding what is needed by the market, and so to provide an education that is for that. And I think that most are working a lot on that. It's not enough. Another idea I got is just one idea, is that maybe at university we can try to give the tools to the youngest or not youngest, to the students to start their own business, because most of the time I think they are ready. We think that they need to do an internship. Yeah, obviously they need to learn procedures, but it's something they can learn. When I started, I didn't know how to use Photoshop or how to use a camera, but then I learned, so I can learn how to manage the clients or do some administrative tasks. So maybe we can also work on that side. That is important. I don't know. Just ideas, because I'm not really. It's not easy to answer you. Just idea that can use it for maybe to think about it. And yeah, I was saying about
we actually have to close in a couple of minutes. I'm so sorry for that, but
no worries. We give a little breath to the next one.
Speaking about the students and young designers, you suggest in your statement to keep an avant-garde attitude. What do you mean? It's just the last question.
Okay. What I wanted to say, basically, I use avant-garde because it's hard to explain it in a few less than a few minutes. Yeah. But it might be a sort of attitude to try to change the rules, themselves in what they are doing, to try to do it differently. It's good to learn, to know the tradition, but also to go beyond and far from the tradition, sometimes to explore at least, because some people will hate me, but for example, it's hard to see Helvetica everywhere, because it's true that it's a good font and blah blah blah. We can try other ways. This is just an example, and I know someone will hate me about saying that, but I love it. But it's just that there is a tendency, I think, in young people, because I worked with students, sometimes to be very shy. And I think why?
it's not always easy to break the rules and
but maybe the educators and yes, and also the lecturers and the educators in general can encourage people to to express themselves even.
Sorry, we have to close this conversation. It was very interesting, and it was really nice to meet you again after a few years.
Hopefully we will meet each other again soon. Thank you, Francesca. It's been very interesting and intense at the same time. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.